Hey, how's it going? I can, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are we doing?
Awesome, doing great. What about you?
I'm fantastic. I appreciate you wanting me to be on your podcast, dude.
Yeah, of course. Happy to that. Let's get this started. So, why did you decide to start your own business, and why did you choose like the agency model?
Yeah, man. So when I was 17 years old, I met a guy. His name's John Senecal, and he gave me a book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I tell every single person who has this mindset of the middle class, where you have to show up to get a paycheck, that you can at least read this one book. It's like 100 pages. You can do it in a day, and it builds the foundation of everything I've ever learned in business. The mindset that I need to actually go ahead and live off my own income rather than having to rely on somebody else, and all of these things. Then from there, I spiraled into what I call the circle. There's a select group of entrepreneurs that are like the Patrick Bet Davids, the Grant Cardones, the Hermoses that we learn about. And these are the people that we're going to be watching for the next several years as we grow and build our business. I started learning from these guys. And from there, it was like I just read 150 books and I listened to all these guys for hours and hours on end. And that's why I started business, and why I chose the agency model specifically is I think everyone watched that one Iman Gadji video that was
Yeah,
explaining like, oh, this is the new arbitrage economy. And then from there, I realized that most of this stuff is not even true. It's all fake. And he's just really trying to launch a massive VSL to sell you, his educate, but at the
educate.
time, agency navigator. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And right now you have your agency, right? How much are you guys doing per month? Is
Yeah.
it like
So
average?
it's funny. I actually am doing my accounting for this past tax year right now. So I actually know the exact numbers. I started my coaching business in June. It was like June 4th. Since that point, we've done $40,000 total cash collected. And then the actual social media agency has been doing like 2,000 a month on the lowest end, and then on a higher month is like around $10,000 a month.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, yeah, since you do coaching, if someone wants to like get started into SMMA today, what are some like steps that they need to take in order to like make it successful? It's those goals 5, 10K a month.
Yeah. What changed everything for me is understanding like the first sale matters. You're not even in business until you actually make a dollar. And if you don't make a dollar, you're not in business. You're wasting your time. So stop watching videos, stop reading books, and actually get a skill that people actually care about. Build a product that people actually want to purchase. If we actually ask and sit down and ask, what is money? It's just literally an exchange of value. You're having a relationship with a person, and instead of wasting your time, you're paying with your dollars for them to do something for you. Now, if you want to make your first sale, then I would say learn sales. It's very simple. But you can't learn sales until you learn how to build an offer. So I would start with number one, understanding get your mindset away from the 10K a month. That's way too far in the future. And you can't think about that until you make a dollar. Can you convince a stranger to make a dollar? In order to do that, you need to understand sales, which is just a fancy term of saying, can you talk with somebody and say, hey, I have a pen right here. If you Venmo me a dollar right now, I'll give you the pen and I'll have it in the mail tomorrow. If we can agree on that, then that is the exchange and that is your sale. And then obviously, if you want to sell something more expensive or more of something, then you have to learn how to do it a lot of times. So my advice is number one, probably listen to Alex Hermosi a lot. And then I would say get on as many meetings as you can with random strangers on the internet and just talk with them, because you're going to get comfortable with the Zoom
100%.
world
Yeah.
or in
Even,
person.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Even like cold calls, it works great. Like when I first started my agency, I was kind of like nervous trying to like outreach to other people, just talk to them basically. But when I started cold calling, it just helps you like build that confidence in you, able to
Yeah.
like meet more people and stuff. So,
100%. And yeah, just to add on to that, there's this thing that I do. And number one, um, people that are like, how do I get really good at cold calling? The question, it shouldn't be how do I get good at cold calling? It should be how do I start cold calling? Because it's kind of like riding a bike. Either you're riding a bike or you're not. And if you're not, then none of the application of how to get good at riding a bike applies to you because you're not doing it. So if you're like, how do I open up a better line? How do I say this thing? How do I get past gatekeepers? Dude, you're not even doing cold calls. So stop asking these questions. They're stupid questions and they don't apply to you yet. So the first question is, how do you get your lazy ass to turn your phone on, to type in, 9 digits on a keypad, press the green button and put something up to your ear to get somebody to actually, answer the phone? That's the first question. Once you solve that, then you can say, okay, no one's responding. How do I get people to respond? How do I dial 3 lines at once? How do I get past the gatekeepers? Those are the questions that come later. But most people are like, how do I make 10K a month? How do I set 10 appointments a day? How do I, you know, do all this stuff? And it's like, dude, you've never even done a cold call. So start with that. And then we can focus on the other stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And do you recommend like any sales books that people should read in order to get better at kind of sales?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Cardone Zone by Grant Cardone is by far the easiest way to understand volume, but also Hermosi. We all watch him, but for a very good reason. It's evident this guy talks, number one, the idea of volume. When I started, actually really making money online, and just like, from when I say really, I mean like my first dollar came into my business, was when I understood the word of volume. If you don't have what you want to have, it's most likely because what you're doing is not correct, or you're not doing enough of the correct thing. So you can always solve both of these variables by doing more things, because even if you suck, the volume itself negates all the other skills that are required, because eventually, if you're smart, you're going to get the feedback loop of, most people are saying no to this thing. So if I change up what I'm doing, right, then all of a sudden now I can do better things and I can get better at what I'm doing. And the thing is like, if you do it enough times, even if you don't, learn from a coach or a mentor or whatever, you will figure it out yourself. You're just going to pay with ignorance in time, right? So that is like what I would recommend. Number one, spend like a little time watching podcasts and stuff, but really, really just do it. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, while we're listening to this podcast, if you watch this Instagram reel or whatever, afterwards, before you go to the laundry room, before you go, talk to your girlfriend, do one cold call. How do you do it? You go to Google. You type in businesses near me, gyms near me, lawn care businesses near me. You open up your phone and you call someone. And you're like, well, what do you say? It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is starting the fact that you can cold call. And then we can ask, how do we get better at it?
Yeah, and how do you think like a lot of people like say that they want to have the perfect script? They try to like search on Google the best script. What do you think about this?
I think, like I said, volume itself is the most powerful metric for anything. I was talking to one of my students and he's sitting there. He was like, dude, I'm tracking all this stuff. I did 75 cold calls, and all of these people, like, I had 16 people open the message, 5 people responded to the message, 4 people replied, and then had me on like a 2 screen. And I'm like, dude, you did 75 cold calls. I do 100 cold calls a day, and it took you a week to do 75. You're fucking lazy. Stop focusing on tracking. Track the fact that you didn't do the work, dude. Like, you're a smart kid. Get your ass in a chair and do the work. And then you're like, well, I don't know what to say. Well, again, you're going to realize what not to say by the fact that no one's answering you when you say, hi, my name is Alex Davis and I'm from XYZ company. Everyone's going to hang up immediately. So that can't work. So then you have to try something else. Hey, is this the owner of blank business? And then you realize like that kind of works. And then when you go, hey, I listen, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm not sure if you're the right person, but maybe you can help me out here. I'm looking for the owner of the gym down the street. Oh, it's you. That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, you guys have a website, right? That works, but that's skill and that takes time. And if you're not doing anything, then start by doing something. And then we can get down the line to getting better at it.
Gotcha, gotcha. And a lot of the reason why people don't really do that much is because like they don't have like a certain why they're like trying to chase. What do you think? Like, how can people figure out their whys? You know, like why they're even doing everything.
We are motivated by the fact that we're deprived of things. When you're hungry, you eat food. When you're tired, you sleep. But money, you can't feel deprivation from it because it's not an emotional, internal body thing. But what you can feel deprived of is the fact that, number one, when you cannot support your family or your friends or your own self, you're emotionally deprived of the fact that you might end up on the streets and you might be homeless. And you might have to go to college and you don't want to do that. And you know that in your heart, this is not something that you want to spend your life doing. So you're deprived of these things. This creates emotional tension. So here's what I would say to you: if you don't have a why, I would say number one, stop trying to find a why because it doesn't matter, dude. Like everyone needs money. That is enough of a why. But if you don't feel like it's enough of a why, then wait. Don't do anything. I challenge you to sit for the next 5 years and just sit in a fucking chair, play video games, and do nothing. Because what's going to end up happening is your family's going to stop supporting you. You're not going to make any money. You're going to end up really feeling lazy to the point where eventually you will have to do something because otherwise your life is going to fail. It's going to fall and shut down. And if you can realize that eventually, if you do nothing and you don't even try to apply yourself and build the life that you want, then you should probably start now because in 5 years, this is the outcome that would happen. That is the why, is you're running away from that. And then when you start to get a little successful, you realize like, oh, I don't need a why anymore because I know what to do. And once you know what to do, you're just going to keep doing it anyway because it's a part of you. When you start going to the gym, you're like, why am I doing this? You don't know. But once you do it every day and you've done it as long as I have, you wake up in the morning and the first thought is, I want food and I want to go to the gym. I want food. I want to go to the gym and then I want to work. And that's it. So I feel like I'll add this last thing. I feel like people massively overcomplicate the reasons for everything. They're like, I need a routine. I need to wake up. I need to eat my pills. I need to go do my meditation and run. I know this because I did this when I was 17 years old. I would wake up at 5 a.m. I would do my 100 push-ups. Then I would do my 100 sit-ups. Then I would run a mile. Then I would come back and I would sit in a chair and I would do 30 minutes of cold calls or or not cold calls, cold meditation. And I would sit there and read a book. And then I would, and dude, I've spent 5 hours doing nothing, like a routine of some kind that I've like attached myself to, and it means nothing. But genuinely, if I just did the things that actually mattered, that actually got results, trying to get away from the spot of being a failure, then yes, it would happen now. But focusing on these whys and all this stuff, I think it's a waste of time.
Gotcha, gotcha. So would you say like people should be focusing on inputs, like trying to get more cold calls out, trying to get more like DM send out emails, just trying to get as many people as like they can just to come into a Zoom call and just talk to them and slowly
Yeah.
try to close them. Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So, honestly, just because I'm more of like I don't like just to talk about things. If I'm gonna talk to you and tell you that I do something, I want to show you. So, I'm gonna share my
That's
screen.
awesome.
I'm gonna show you what I do. I'll probably show you exactly how I make money. We'll talk. We'll focus really deeply on the coaching because this is what I like focus on now, and this is the thing that has drawn me the most amount of money and recently. So the first thing that I have is I have a Facebook group that has 6,000 people in it. If you want to make money anywhere in the world, online, in person, doesn't matter. You need to have people in your life. The only source of money that exists is people. If you want to argue with me on this fact, ask your cat to give you $10. It can't happen. Okay. People are the only sources of money that we have. So that means you have to know a lot of them. Why? Because there's only two types of people who know you and people who don't. And unfortunately, there's a lot more people who do not know you than people who do. So the goal of the game is what? To get people to move from not knowing you to knowing you. How do they know you? By relating to the things that you do and wanting to learn from you. And they can do this by having a group or a brand or content like this podcast. So I have a Facebook group with 6,000 people. We can call them leads or we can call them, prospects. And I would go ahead and I would click on this button, right? I would welcome the new members of my group in, and then I would go straight to contacting these people via cold messenger DM, right? So I would go to the people tab. I would scroll down. I would find people who look like they have, that they live in either America, Australia, United Kingdom, somewhere where I know that they're speaking English, I can understand them and I can coach them. And if I don't have anyone that does that, then guess what? I'm in every single SMMA group out there, and I will join one and I will do this very fast. So I would go into like Joel Kaplan's, right? I'll go to members. I would come down here and I guarantee you, watch this. We're going to play a game. If I click on a name,
All right.
I have already messaged them. Why? Because I do this more than most of you guys. All right. So let's just pick on a random person. All right. Isabella. All right. Message. Oh, look at that. I haven't messaged her. So I'm gonna message her. But let's pick on a random other name. Melvin. Message. Dang, dude, that's 2 for 2. All right.
Yeah.
Bro, we will no, bro, I promise. We'll find someone.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All
That's fine.
right,
There
Jacob.
we
So
go.
this is what I'll send them. What do you do? What do you do as an agency owner? All right. I'll
Hmm.
copy this message. And then if I find those two people that I did not send this to, which is up here, if we scroll up, we got Melvin, right? I will send that to him, Command V. and then I'll go over and it will send, and then I'll go over here. I think the other here's Justin. But the other one is Isabella. I haven't messaged him. Um, and then Isabella, right? And I would send this 100 times a day. And I'll usually get 5, 10 people to reply. And then I'll start a conversation. I'll send them my calendar link. They will
Mm.
book a call. When they're on the call, I'm closing them. I'm going to convince them that my program is going to change their life. And it will, because my program's the best program out there for what I do.
I
Um,
see. And what
yeah,
exactly do you do on your program?
yeah. I help people get their first client in the agency
It's
world.
awesome. That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So, okay, perfect. Julia, right? I've already had a conversation with this person. I think they were pitching me actually.
Yeah.
Let's see. Steven. Yeah, message this guy. So,
Yeah.
99% of the people in this group, there's 16,000 of them. I've messaged all of them. Robert, let's see. Nothing. So then I would send him the message. And I will keep doing this until I've maxed out the account. And then from there, I will continue to follow up with my conversations. I have so many conversations going on all the time. This is my conversation feed. The conversation up on the screen is actually from my editor. But if you look over to the left where I'm scrolling down, these are all the conversations I constantly have open with
Yeah.
business owners. So
100%.
that's always going on. And you can do this with Instagram. You can do it with any other social media that allows you to message somebody. The goal is just contact people and contact a lot of them. Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think what do you think why people fail usually in SMMA?
Because they don't know what to do. They're listening to Joel Kaplan. They think that they can make $10,000 in 90 days. If you've ever met anyone in the world that's ever made $10,000 raw in 90 days, then they deserve a pink medal or something. Like, it doesn't exist ever. Even Joel Kaplan told me, dude, it took him 6 years to get his agency going. 6 years. And you're thinking, I'm going to do it in
Yeah.
90 days. Bro, you're absolutely ridiculous. The thing is that people are optimized for laziness, right? Like we're creatures, we're trying to survive and we're trying to preserve energy because it's a finite resource in our body. And the only way that we're going to want to do something is if it requires minimal effort. So then
Yeah.
marketing gurus, Joel Kaplan, Iman, are actually just really, really good at realizing this fact. And they'll make videos. Guys, you do not have to have any skills. You don't have to have any work. You could just arbitrage everything. And now all of a sudden you're sitting here making more than a doctor as a 10-year-old kid while people out there are just doing all this work for you. It doesn't exist, bro. Like, this doesn't. The reason why people fail is because they assume that this is the
100%.
way that the business world works, and it's not. No one's going to work for a 10-year-old kid or a 15-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid, bro, who has no skills and no value to provide to a marketplace. And if you don't have value, then this is why you need to learn. This is why you need to read books and do all this other work. Um, yeah,
100%. Yeah. So kind of like from the agency space, if somebody, where obviously there are like two type of programs, right? You can like invest in mentorship, but then for the people who don't really have any money, they're just trying to like just start out from nothing. What do you recommend? Like, is there like any type of like exactly related like SMMA books that they should be taking? Some like kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
yeah.
Let me share my screen one more time. If we go, I'm going to plug my book because I know it's amazing and I know it's going to change your life and it's changed a lot of people's lives. So I'm going to plug it up. But
Yeah, that's
I have a book and you guys all have access to it. I'm going to let you all have access to it. It's SMMA Secrets. It's not there. It is here. Boom. SMMA Secrets. All right. This is a 52-page book for you guys that are lazy fucks out there and you don't want to do any work. I don't know if I can swear on this podcast. I apologize. You
that's
can just bleep that out. But this book will change your life. This is very, very raw. This is very candid. This is very exact to the point on what you need to do and how you need to do it. And it's 52 pages. So it doesn't require a lot of effort or a lot of work. And if I'm sure there's an AI program that can read the thing to you if you want it. Actually, if you guys don't want to, read it, watch this. Hold on. Let me share one more time. I
all
actually
right.
have the audio version on a podcast. You put that on 2 times speed and you're gonna get this thing chewed up in no time. All right, this is my podcast. If you guys don't know, finally ready to grow. I've interviewed Brad Lee. I've interviewed Jason Wojo, who's made 12-20 million dollars in the last few years online. Brad Lee's made close to $1 billion. Gary Cardone, that's Grant Cardone's brother. Alex Fedotof's made 150 mil. But if we scroll down just far enough, you're gonna see right here Dun, dun, dun. SMMA Secrets complete audiobook. Check that out. So you guys can actually listen to the entire thing for free, and you can put it on 2 times speed. It's an hour long, so it'll take you
Awesome.
30 minutes. Right. So there you go. Those are
That's
the two
awesome. Yeah.
resources. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll definitely link them down below. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So the last question is, what are like kind of your like main like takeaways kind of for someone who's just getting into like not just like SMMA, but just trying to improve their overall life, basically.
Yeah. This is a great question, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna spend a little time on it.
That's fine. Go for it. Take your
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So every single human being that is alive, we're not talking about dead people because it doesn't apply to us, live an experience while they're here. An experience you can define as anything, but we cannot argue the fact that every single person that is on this planet right now will experience something good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter, but we will experience something. And like you just said, the goal would be to have a good experience over the duration of our life. But what would that mean? How do we actually do that? The problem is most people, number one, are not aware. If you're not aware of how to do this, then why would you even try? Because you're not aware of the fact that you can, and you're also not aware of the ways to do this, right? So the fact that we all experience something, and the fact that we can actually control our own body, the fact that I can move my hand, unless you don't have limbs or you don't have legs, but I'm sure that there's something in your control that you can utilize to make this situation a little better. And if you can't make it a little better, then you were in my prayers. But most people can improve a little bit, or they can improve a lot if they really try. And so, what I have found, and what I believe to be fully truth, is that human beings, other humans, right, will help you do this. Relationships in and of itself. You always say network is the biggest thing in the world. Just saying a word means nothing to somebody if they don't understand context. If I just say you need a network, you're like, why? Why do I need a network? Oh, because it's good. You're going to make money. Why? The thing is like on a very generalist level, you can pretty much just tell anyone you need anything, and then they're like, okay. But the advice means nothing to you unless you really break it down to its core components. And the fact that most people don't spend the time to build the awareness or read the books or listen to the audios, you're not even going to probably take in what I'm saying right now. But we experience things. We want to have a good experience. We don't know how. So the best thing that we could do is probably meet people that teach us things, that give us information. You're listening to me right now. There's a lot of formats in which we can consume human information, but humans are the only sources of learning. They're the only sources of happiness. They're the only sources of love that we'll ever receive on the planet. You can say materialistic goods make you happy. Well, who made those things? Humans. And who are you sharing these things with, these experiences with? Humans. And if you're not experiencing them, then maybe you have a little hint of sadness. If you were just by yourself and you lived alone, and there was no one else, and you're the only person on the planet, and you had no humans around, then maybe in that moment you're like, okay, well, I guess I could just be alone. But that's not the truth. That's not even reality. So I would say get around some awesome humans and try to spend time with 5 good humans. And you're like, I don't know how to do that. Well, like the cold calling thing, either you're trying or you're not trying. And if you're not trying, then understand that there's probably not much you can do, because most people that are super wealthy, they're not really happy unless they have good people to spend their life with. So that's what I would say, honestly. And as far as other things, I would say you need to get in good shape, because when you have a lot of money, you're going to spend all your money on what? Making sure that your health is good. So get in the gym 4 to 5 times a day and do this consistently for the rest of your life. And I would say find somebody to go to the gym with if you don't currently go, because it'll probably motivate you a little bit more. Um, I want to shout out my roommate. My roommate's been going to the gym with me, and I'm super proud of him. Because even if he doesn't go all the time, I the fact that we're going together motivates me more, motivates him more. So it's kind of like man sharpening man, iron sharpens iron. It's a really like it builds off of itself. But doing everything alone, I've done it for a long time. It doesn't work, and it makes you very sad, even if you're making money. So say find people, build a good body, and then yeah.
All right. Thank you a lot. That was really good. Yeah. I think that's it. We'll wrap it up. Thanks. Just your last thing. Just can you send me like a picture of you just for the YouTube signal, just so I can edit that out and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate the podcast. You're
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, great questions.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, have a good night. I'll see you.
Yep.